Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Shack here, and welcome to a discussion video about a title that kind of surprised me today. I just got back not too long ago from the PC Gamer Live show. I'm here out in LA, attending E3, and for a change of pace, I'm being joined by Mr. Wasted Space. How you doing, man?
Good evening, sir. I'm doing very well.
Are you ready to discuss what could possibly be the answer to the Sandbox sci-fi super game that we've been wanting and talking about since we first played Space Engineers?
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect, really. My immediate expectation is somewhat laced with suspicion, but I don't know.
Well, we'll see how you feel once you've seen it. So, Wasted hasn't seen the trailer. I watched it live. I was the front row. If you guys happened to watch the stream, you probably saw me. I was actually like two seats from the left-hand side. But you haven't seen it yet. We're going to do a live trailer reaction for you. I've watched it once live, and then we're going to discuss kind of what it is and what the developer who was on stage talked about and what he says it's going to be. I don't want to say anything because I might, I don't want to persuade you in any way about this trailer until you see it. So you have control, sir. Go ahead and start it up when you're
Yep,
ready to go.
let's give this a shot. I'm kind of intrigued by how this is going to go. Wow. Okay, at this point, this could be Space Engineers.
Right?
Almost. Now not. Now they've ruined that.
Space Engineers when it was an alpha.
Wow, okay, and then speed.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn, this looks pretty goddamn sweet.
Right? And now they didn't preface this with anything. We got the dev to talk after he played the trailer. And wait till you hear what they're talking about. But what are your first impressions?
Okay, my first impressions of that are, I mean, there's a wow element without a shadow of a doubt. The wow element the same way when you see some of the Elite Dangerous trailers or the Star Citizen trailers or some of that stuff. Like, the quality of those graphics is pretty astounding. I mean, especially coming into that city at the end, and not even coming. It's coming into the planet, and then this
Yeah.
bit as
Yeah,
you
right
come
there.
down, like the
And look
point
at
at
how
which.
quick they do it. We're so used to Space Engineers with the loading. And they showed that.
Yes, the speed of all of this happening, like the fluidity of it all, just looks crazy,
Oh.
and the way he slows down at the end there as well is just looks
Flips
smooth.
it around and just lands. And
Just
he built the front part of that ship at the very beginning, which
Yeah.
reminded me a lot of the alpha of Space Engineers when we first started, where all you had was creative mode.
Yeah, where is it? There was a bit at the start where it was like almost placing down like what would look like a blueprint in Space Engineers at the moment. But in this is
There you go.
clearly just the placement methods. Look at it, yeah. Like these see-through blue blocks and the cockpit part, and there we go. Ship done. I'll just jump in and off. And hang on. Look there. Where is it? Can I get just the right frame? There we go.
Big capital ships or whatever those are.
There's some big capital ships, but also look at the UI that comes up on screen, because it looks like it's actually like reactive a bit, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. It could be a lot like Space Engineers, though, where it's just, it's there for fluff, but it doesn't actually do anything.
Maybe, but I don't know. I wonder. You look at the quality of the rest of the stuff that's going on here. You kind of such a central UI element, something that they've made that much of a point out of. You know, that really is central. I don't think it would be
kind of
too hard to make that into something that was actually functional.
Mm-hmm.
It's also got
Well,
a blip on it here. There's a little yellow blip on it. If you see just above the
So maybe
cursor,
that radar actually works.
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's actually
I mean,
indicating
it is
something.
alpha. Maybe that's what they're planning. Like they want this to work. They're planning on it to work. But let me run you through now because they don't tell you a lot in the trailer. They show you planetary atmospheric entry. They show you flying around the planet. They show you flying off into space and then back down, and they show a space station. So what the developers has said was everything in this trailer can be built or has been built by players, right? So the space
Okay.
station, the capital ships, the fighter, all that stuff, the city itself, built by players. And the thing that trips me out with this, and you guys probably saw it in the title for this video, this is an MMO.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, this is an MMO. Like me and you we're looking here and we're like, wow, this is what we kind of wanted space engineers to be.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be an MMO, and this is the earliest alpha footage they've shown. I don't know if this is like the tech demo that they're hoping it's going to be, but a massive
Okay.
MMO too. Like they're going for a huge scale.
The number of
So,
questions I now have has just increased by 100-fold.
yep,
Literally 100-fold.
I'm sure the big one is like, how?
Well, how is sort of, if you were going to encapsulate all of those 100 questions in one question, how would be the strong one? But still, that's some pretty serious scope and intention. I mean, this stuff, look, again, you're coming past this big space engine, this coming by this big space station. So this is all player built, but these will potentially be player created? And so there could be
Yeah.
massive numbers of these? I mean, well, maybe, I don't know. That immediately comes back to, like, what's the resource system? How is that all going to work? Are you talking something
Well,
a bit
he,
like...
he went into it.
Okay.
Actually.
Hit me
Okay,
up.
so the developer talked about it a little bit. He talked about, and he was very vague. All right, I will say this: he was pretty vague about how everything's going to work. Now, I said this was alpha. This is actually pre-alpha footage. The alpha isn't supposed to start till next year, so bear that in mind. But what he says is there's going to be a full resource system, territorial control, politics that will be emergent, and for every gameplay mechanic that they come up with, there will be a counterbalance to it. So for exploration, there may be something that keeps you from going too far out, so it keeps the player base within an area where they can actually play together. The politics system and the resource system will be combined with some type of like maybe a war system and a conflict system. You'll be able to have hundreds of players, some of which, they're talking hundreds of players on a ship. I don't understand how that's supposed to happen. Like, we'll actually go through the
Okay.
game features here. I've got the game features list pulled up from the website because he was pretty vague, and he was just as vague as the actual website itself. But you can head over, if you look at the description for this video, you'll actually find the link to their duelthegame.com, and you can read what they're promising with this game, and it's impressive scope, like you said. It's
Worrying
Yeah.
scope all of a sudden, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I want it so bad, but when I saw the trailer and I listened to what the dev had in mind, like the trailer itself, I was thinking, wow, if they can get 20 players like in this and it runs okay, I will be impressed and very happy. But now they're saying massive
Yeah.
MMO.
Yeah, exactly. That went from being something that I had some belief in, and I was like, okay, yeah, modern tech, like, sweet, someone get on this bandwagon and really push this whole thing to looking awesome and running well in multiplayer. Let's do that. And then, 200? 200? Mind blown?
Like here's the
Okay, scary.
here's some
Scary,
of the
scary.
game. Here's some of the game features that they've listed so far, and I'll quote the website. When we say massive, and they say that in quotes, we mean it. We have developed a unique way to handle lots of players all at once so they can share experiences in single, continuous, undivided universe. Single shard universe. That's the quote that he used from PC Gamer was single shard universe.
Single shard as well. Okay.
All right. Then you've got emergent gameplay, and he hammered this one quite a bit. The politics within Dual Universe will depend on the players' ideologies, powers, ideas, and gameplays will emerge as they have done throughout history. So I don't know what they mean by powers. Do they mean like the
That's
group
an
of players? you control?
interesting way of phrasing things, actually.
Yeah.
Like powers? Why the S has really thrown things out there, but again, this is just sounding. I mean, it's sounding mind-blowingly cool, but And
Mhm.
then adding, this is just more layers to the onion. That it's the same onion that Star Citizen is trying to crack at the moment, and we've seen how difficult it is to crack when
And
you've
they're
got,
not trying to have voxel construction.
yeah,
They're not going to have an economy that's going to be completely player driven. They're not going that far. This is taking Star Citizen and just like farther, even farther. And I want to believe it, but
who's the
God,
publisher
it's
out of
hard.
interest? I know so little about this. This is completely out of the blue for me. I mean, I've checked out a lot of the E3 stuff going on. I missed a bit this evening, and suddenly there's Dual Universe or something.
Yeah, dual. Yeah, and so Dual Universe, like they dropped this at the PC Gamer Show, and it's the first thing other than Fallout VR to just my jaw just hit the ground during this. And then right after watching the trailer, listening to the developer talk, I started going, "What? Like what? What? I don't know. I mean, I get your pre-alpha, and you're going for big here. I mean, you're going for bigger than No Man's Sky. Like this blows No Man's Sky's
Indeed,
concept
that's
freaking
what's scary.
yeah, and I haven't heard about this at all. So voxel building, where everything can be built, complete creative freedom and design. And one thing that he said that confused me, I really love the concept because it kind of reminds me of Eve's blueprint system, how it was supposed to be, was you could design a fighter. And it was the best, like, it's an awesome fighter. People love it, and you can sell it and make money off of selling these fighters that you build because you built it first or something. And you could be well known for making that fighter. Kind of like Galaxy's weapon crafting system back in the day, where you could make the best bounty hunter rifle, and people would know who that builder was because his name was, attached to those items, and players would get to know that person. But for a voxel game where you can design your own ships and whatever, that's crazy. Like, what
That's
do you think about that?
I'm both mind blown by the whole concept of that being a thing. Again, it's just crazy and scary that they would even consider going that far with it, and coming out this early just with an initial announcement and going, yep, all of these things, no problem.
We're gonna
Yep,
check
we got
every
that,
box.
we got that. Nope, no worries. You might not have heard of us, but we got all these things. But also that,
If you don't have it, we'll have it.
yeah, they're trying to charge into sort of that sort of territory immediately makes me think, and you'll understand this with some of the stuff you've made recently. That's content creation all of a sudden. How do you protect that in a voxel game? How do you protect that in a
Yeah.
game where someone can replicate every single thing you've made just by going and making it again themselves?
I can't even keep people from uploading, re-uploading my videos onto
Yeah,
YouTube. How are you going to keep people from stealing your pseudo X-wing design you totally ripped off from Star Wars and started selling in this game? I mean, not for real money. We're probably talking about in-game currency. He
yeah.
didn't specify either way, but you assume it's in-game.
Yeah, definitely. It
But they're
sounds like
talking
in-game
fleet
Eve
buildings. They're talking
market.
about satellites. You're talking about space stations. Like, I don't know. I don't know. If they could pull it off, it'd be amazing. Now, here's something that I think you'll like, because this is more in your ballpark when it comes to
Hmm.
something like space engineers making working machines. They're talking about having scriptable ships and constructs in this.
So some sort of intrinsic support, a bit like Space Engineers added later down the line with the programming
Mhm.
blocks, but potentially, whenever I hear that, I immediately hope for something that's more intuitive for the average player than what Space Engineers did with the whole, hey, we're going to allow you to use C++ in our game. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
fine.
that's
So
very
all
small
of you C++
community.
coders, yeah, it's
Well,
just,
here, I'll read it to you and you tell me what you think of it. So it says, for advanced players, the ability to script any ship or construct to redefine how it is controlled from navigation to weapon systems. You can even script your own AI to assist you.
well, they mentioned scripts a number of times, but yeah, that's very vague. I'd want more than that. Scripts is like, do you mean like straight up C++ like Space Engineers? Do you mean pseudocode, where it's kind of you're writing a script, but it's kind of interpreted to make it easier to understand for your layman and easier to learn for your layman? Or are you literally talking Visual Basic drag and drop interfaces and something that's really easy for everybody? Because that makes quite a big difference. If it's a complaint I have about Space Engineers, it's just that side of things is a bit too sort of exclusive of the main player base. Everyone wants to have a part of that. It would be so cool if everybody could do that. So maybe Again, it's intriguing, but just adds to the number of layers on this damn onion. This onion is
Yeah.
one hell of an onion now.
Now, here's the one that I think this is out of all of them, this is the one that pushed me kind of over the edge of being completely skeptical of the just. No, I don't think you can pull that off. Like that was is the first words came out of my mouth. Okay,
Okay.
so here's the quote. It says, "Ships can involve hundreds of players specializing in weapons, nav systems, or repair. Get on the deck of the Enterprise and command your crew, or go solo and explore the cosmos on your own." The keywords there are hundreds of players. Ships can involve hundreds of players. I assume they mean ship crew. We're talking capital ships now, right? Big moving objects.
Yep. No, I'm getting
Now,
this.
yeah, and now let's compare Star Citizen, right? Or Space Engineers, because that's another voxel building game. Star
Uh,
Citizen is shooting for nothing of this scale. Hundreds is not something they're going for. I think I'm not sure what the numbers are. Last I heard, it was probably around. I think it was like 20 maybe on a ship. You guys will have to update me on that in the description below. I don't remember exactly what they're up to or what they've changed it to, or maybe they haven't even announced it. Space Engineers, you can barely get 5 people on a server, and trying to keep them in a ship, able to walk around and get anything done while the ship is moving is damn near impossible. So
I'd
hundreds.
say Space Engineers is a bad example because it's just a game trying to do something that was never intended to do to begin with, you know. But regardless of how it was marketed, the engine was never intended to do. Let's put it that way. Whereas the fact that these guys are like shooting for something that a company like RSI are not even coming near to, yeah, that's slightly hard to believe. All I can take from that is surely they've got to be talking about some pre-scripted scenario in which maybe hundreds of people are aboard a ship that's flying itself, and they're busy fighting off a scenario raid as one big unit, almost like sort of Warcraft raiding or some of the big Eve fleet battles, organized group combat. Maybe it's just a really liberal interpretation of how you could phrase that, perhaps, because I just don't see the technology being there otherwise. Surely we're not there yet, are we? Did I miss something?
I don't honestly, I don't think so. I can't think of any examples. The only system I could think of that might be able to pull this off would be a super instance system. So the inside of this capital ship is an instance. It's its own server with 100 people running around on it. And tell me, what was the last time you played on a server with 100 people on it? It wasn't like an MMO in and of itself, right?
And they've already
Planet side.
mentioned a single shard as well. Like they almost went and blew that idea out of the water right at the start of the.
Again, though, is
Maybe.
that phrasing like is EVE Online is considered a single universe, right? But
True.
it's not a single server. As much as people want to believe it is, it's a fragmented server of systems. You jump through warp gates, you transfer to different
Yeah.
server clusters. So single shard could mean that, right? You got here's a planet and a solar system, or maybe just a planet. I don't know, but they could break it down into subsystems like that, maybe. But what do you do when all the players want to be in their version of Jita? You know?
Yeah. This, as you say, the onion has reached its final layer, and that layer has caused an implosion of black hole levels. Like.
Indeed.
It's almost to the point where I feel like it could be a troll. Like can you really come out and just be like, "Yep, we've got all of these things covered, all the bases covered. No worries, we're fine."
The actual E3 floor starts up tomorrow, right? So my goal is to hunt these guys down and wrangle as many questions as I can out of them to get some legitimate information. Like, how many people are you talking about on these ships? Are we talking about instant solar systems? Are we talking about you mentioned destruction, voxel destruction. That has not been mentioned at all. Like, we have voxel building, but where is it that? Because I just had this thought of, well, maybe you design the ship, right? And then it turns it into just a single asset like a normal game or something. I don't know. There could be some tricks there that they could use to make this work, maybe. I want to have hope. So I guess my goal now is find these guys on the E3 show floor, if possible, and ask lots of questions.
Yeah, you have to, and you have to ask some hard questions, I think, because with that many claims, it's really sort of come down to the important stuff now. Like, what are these claims based on? It's not even like, hey, you've made a cool looking trailer, cool looking game, I'm interested. Like, you're gonna have this mechanic in it, you're gonna have this mechanic. No, there's no question of that anymore. That's the normal spiel. Now it's just like, okay, you've laid your mechanics bare and we don't believe them. Explain yourself.
No. Where are you in development right now? How much of this is goals you want to reach, or what have you got working? Because that's going to be the trick. That's going to be the real trick. Anyways, I think we've talked about this one long enough. It's a title that surprised the hell out of me here at E3, and the show hasn't actually started yet. And we had just the big, Microsoft and Sony, and now the PC Gamer Show, and this is one of those ones that just my jaw dropped when I saw it. So hopefully it will be everything they promised it to be, and it'll be the next big space sim, the space sim that we've all been wanting, right? Super freedom, creation, a living universe, all that jazz. And if it is, awesome. I will definitely be covering it here on the XP Gamers, where we support the modding community. Thank you so much, Wasted, for hanging out with me and for, doing all of the editing in the dungeon that I stuck you in, the editing dungeon. It's so dark there.
My editing dungeon is just fine. It's how I like it. A little bit dank, a little bit stank. It's just fine.
Oh man. All right, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and I might list it out. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.